Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Do you have a mini split unit in your home that seems to be underperforming? Airflow not as strong as it used to be, not blowing as cool as it used to? Well, in this video I'm going to show how you can clean the inside of your indoor unit and the components to help maximize the efficiency of your unit. A lot of times that doesn't necessarily mean that something is majorly wrong or something has actually failed in the unit. A lot of times it just needs a good cleaning. Like the blower fan inside the head that moves the air across the coil can get caked up with dust and dirt. That creates weight. It also creates resistance, and it doesn't allow adequate air to blow across the coil. And the dust can also get on that coil too, which doesn't allow air to actually travel through the coil for maximum efficiency. So cleaning the unit's very crucial, and we're going to show you how to take that unit apart, clean it thoroughly, and put it back together. It requires minimal tools, basically a Phillips screwdriver for the whole job, and it is definitely something you yourself, the DIYer, can do and save hundreds of dollars by not having to call an HVAC company to do the same job. So if you own one of these units and you want to know how to clean it, you're in the right place. Stay tuned. The first thing that you will want to do is power down your mini split. And the next step is find your breaker for that unit and turn it off. Because anytime you're working on an appliance, a vehicle, anything like that, you do not want power to the unit because there is a risk of shock. So you want all of the power turned off so that you can safely clean the unit. Okay, next step is opening your filter access door and removing it. So once it's open and it's suspended on its own, you just lift it up to its highest level and then just pull straight out on each side like that. And you pull this one straight out and it'll come off. And then you remove your filters from the unit because you'll want to clean those too. These types of filters that come with it, you can just clean them under warm water and then set them out and let them dry. And it's that easy. And then you'll want to remove your airflow fins here. And on these, there's little clips here. And it shows you here what side. It says upper left. And then this one here says, ooh, let's get up there. Yeah, lower left. So the way this one's set up, you can't get those fins confused because they're labeled and it tells you what side goes where, the orientation, everything. But these little clips here, you just snap that to the right. There's one in the middle, snap it to the right. Then you pull down and then just slide it off. Now there's a couple of hidden screws. There's little tabs here if you can see. Those will just pop out with your fingers. You just grab from the bottom and pull up. They'll come out. And then there's another one over here. This is a smaller unit. Some bigger units will have more than two. There'll probably be 3 or 4 depending on the size of the unit. But just look for those little tabs and just pop those out and that'll expose those screws. And then we will grab our Phillips head screwdriver and remove those screws. Now we're ready to pull this outer housing here off of the unit. So here on the very top, there's some clips. It's just snapped into place. So be careful not to press against this coil here. Those fins are very thin aluminum and they can bend really easy. And if they're flat or bent, that prevents airflow to go through the coil and it will reduce your efficiency. So be very careful and try not to touch this coil while doing that. But here at the back where these two pieces mate together, just press down slightly and pull back a little bit and it'll snap apart. I think there's 4 places. Yep, there's one there on the end, here, here, and then another one here. And then this outer shell will start to slide forward. And then on the bottom side is very similar. Just grab the side of it over here and snap that out, and then grab the other side and just pull straight out like that. And then the whole casing comes off of the unit. The next step is removing these 3 screws. This top one way back here, and you gotta be careful, don't drop that screw whenever you get it pulled out. They're stainless steel screws, so magnetic tips, it won't stick to them. And then there's another one, and then there's the third one, and that's on the left side of this unit. So remove those screws. Now that those screws are removed, this whole unit here with this coil will snap and detach here. It won't come all the way off because it is connected here. You got to have your refrigerant running through. But it will start to detach, and you'll be able to separate this away from the back part of the unit that's mounted to the wall. And like I said before, be very careful and do not push against these fins and bend those fins. And once you get this separated here and down here, your drain trough right there will separate too. It won't fall down yet. So come over here, and this is the indicator light and control panel, and it will snap off of here as well, but just delicately try to separate it from the unit here. There we go, right under there, and it just snaps on these little clips, and there are wires connected, so don't get all crazy with it and just snap that off. But you'll want to separate that as well, because that just snaps up into there. And this little controller piece here, as you see, if you can see down in there, put a little light on there, down in there, how that little clip right there snaps around that little post there, so you can easily, gently pry that apart and then slide it toward you, and then that will detach from there. Now that you had that side free, you can come under here and you can detach the drain trough a little bit right underneath here, and just gently pull that back off of that, and then that will come down even further and give you better access to inside the unit. And once you've done that, this drain trough here is just kind of tightly tucked in under here, so you can manipulate it a little bit and just slide it out from under the coil like that. Now it's connected to the drain itself, so it can just hang there, and then you can use Clorox wipes and whatnot to clean this out while it's hanging there. And you'll want to put some towels or drop cloth or something like that to collect any drips from the cleaning or any water like that, to protect your floor. Okay, a family member of ours owns a HVAC company. He installed these for us, and I've helped him with his business doing some jobs, and he showed me how to do this, and I'm glad he did, because I'm doing this now, and knowing how to do this will help prevent what you're about to see right now. What I'm experiencing is a surprise. Look at how bad that is. That is embarrassingly bad. So we were talking about this, and he told me, he said, have you cleaned your mini split? He said, because you haven't had me come do it. And I said, no, I haven't. He's like, well, since you've worked with me, he said, you know how to do it. He said, you need to clean that. So I am really embarrassed about this, but I think this is a great demonstration of how important it is to have these cleaned. And I'm also showing that it's really pretty easy for you, the DIYer, to do this and save a lot of money. So I hate to show you all this, but I think this is a great example of how important this is. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, the next part is getting this blower wheel out of here. So once you have this evaporator coil detached, this little rubber piece here is the end of the wheel, and what it does is it just aligns the wheel in this plastic so that it can spin in the bearing freely. So what you need to do is, once that's detached, is just press forward on that, and you heard that. See, now it's detached. And the next thing you do is gently just separate the coil from the unit, and you'll be able to slide that fan wheel out. Okay, now the next part, there's a set screw that holds this wheel on the drive shaft on this motor here. So what there's going to be is you just need to turn your fins. There'll be a larger gap between the fins here on this end. There it is. You see that larger gap? Okay, now back inside, if you can see that, inside the, here, I need to spin that a little more back this way. There it is. You see that set screw? Don't take that screw all the way out. It's a Phillips screw, but just loosen that screw, and then that wheel will slide right off of that shaft. Okay, now that I've loosened up the set screw there, this little rubber grommet here, it'll slide off. So you grab it and just pop it right off. Next, you'll want to separate the coil a little bit, not too much. Don't touch those fins, like I said, because you don't want to bend those. And then just enough to get this wheel out of here, then it will slide right off of that shaft. This is the toughest part right here. So once you get that wheel off of that shaft, gently pull it out, and then it's removed. And what you do, you can take it out in the yard, get your hose, your garden hose with a sprayer, and use the pressure of the sprayer and clean all of that. Okay, the next step here is cleaning off that dust off of the coil, but doing it gentle enough so that you don't bend any of these fins. And there's ways to clean the coil. You can get coil cleaner that foams once it's all together, and you can spray that coil down, and a lot of it is just wet it and then just let it drain, and it'll drain all that down into the trough. But I prefer not draining all that dust down into the drain here, which over time could cause a clog, and you don't want it to clog up. And then we've had that happen, and then when it condensates, it'll fill that up and it'll start to drip onto the floor, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is, I have a little shop back here, and I have this little attachment here, the round brush, and it's a softer bristle. I'm going to be very gentle with it when I use it, but here on the underside, it's not as bad, but you can see there are some dust chunks under there. So I'm going to vacuum that out gently, as well as vacuuming the top of this off. And I'm not going to run the vacuum during the video, but you can just use this and just lightly swipe in the up and down direction. Do not swipe it side to side, because that will bend those fins. Now that we've carefully cleaned all the dust off of that coil without bending those fins, also clean those on the inside, the next step will be cleaning all of the surfaces surrounding the internal components. And I'm going to use some Clorox wipes, and I'm going to wipe all of this down thoroughly, and the drain trough here. And once we get all that wiped down, then we can start reassembling. Now that we have the unit all cleaned out, and also clean the exterior parts as well, we're ready for reassembly. Quick tip here: this rubber grommet here acts like a bearing on the outer side of the fan wheel. It fits up in this notch right there. And the way that it's shaped, it only fits in one way. It fits in like a puzzle piece. So you slide the bigger end into the bigger part of the notch, and once it's on the end of the wheel, you don't put it in yet, but I'm just showing you how it fits in there. So you'll have it on the end of the wheel once you put it in there, but make sure you slide it in and that it fits in right in the notches like it should. Now we're going to put the fan wheel assembly back in, and it just goes in like that, and then you line up the end, that hole in there, with that stud, and then, like I said earlier, then you'll align this rubber grommet into the slot. So we're gonna line this up on this end. Pull back on this a little bit, give yourself a little bit of room to get it straightened up. And once you get it straight, it'll be easier to slide that wheel over that shaft. Now is when you pull out the rubber grommet still around the other end of the shaft on this wheel and tuck it in. And now remember our set screw over here. You don't want to push that wheel all the way against the end over here, but you don't want it all the way against the housing over here. So try to get it right in the middle. And then you spin it again and find that gap and put your screwdriver in here and tighten that screw up. You don't have to over tighten it, just tighten it pretty snug and spin it. Make sure you don't hear it rubbing. Spin it both directions, and that's all there is to that. And then we'll start reassembling this evaporator piece with our 3 screws once we snap this into place. So we can start putting together the drain trough, and it just snapped up underneath it. There's no hardware required, so I'll have to do this with both hands. And with the drain pan here, it just tucks, kind of wraps around the bottom part of this coil, and it'll kind of snap in there, but it doesn't hold it in there. So with it sitting in at an angle, it'll hold this end up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to replace this module here that we took out, and you remember the clip and then that goes around that. So all you do is you slide this side over the top part first, like that, and then it'll snap into place. Sorry about the camera, trying to do that with one hand. And then it'll snap into place right there, and it'll also snap into place under here on the drain trough. Once we get all of that snapped into place, we will align the drain pan underneath the coil here, and you see those holes and that notch in there. What we'll do is we will slowly push this back in here and align those up and around the spindle on the fan, and it should go into place like that. And then underneath here with the drain, we will hook that right there on that little pin, and then our screws will be able to go back in, and then we'll put our 3 screws back in up here. Now that we have all of that put back in, the screws tightened down, we can install our outer housing. And you just line it up. Try not to snag any wires that are up there. And then just slide it on and push forward, and it'll snap into place. Now here on the top, you just got to make sure that these tabs get slid underneath the back part here. Make sure that they are lower, and once you slide that into place, it'll snap in and it will hold it in place. And once you get that snapped in securely, we can install our screws here on each side. Now that we have those screws installed, we can get our little covers to cover the screws, and they just snap right into place like that. And then we'll do the other side. Snaps into place. And then we will install our fins that were up here. And like I said, it has the directions on them. It says lower left. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the right side, line it up. Oh, we got to pull that little tab back out right there. But we'll line that middle one up here and slide that through that hole. Then we'll line that hole up there, slide that like that, and do the same process with the top one. Slide that over like that, and those only slide on one way because they're grooved, so it shouldn't be difficult to get those on. Snap that into place, and that's all. Time to install your clean filters. Install that one. And we'll install this one. And they just slide up in there and snap in, and then we'll put our cover back on. And it goes on just like you took it off. Just put the 2 pieces in and then just pull down. It'll snap in. And that's all finished. Now we're going to turn it on and see if it'll work. Now we're going to go back to the breaker box and flip the breaker and restore power to the unit. Now we're going to grab our handy dandy remote here, and we're going to power up the unit. Don't know if you can hear it, but it is blowing. Airflow feels good. And now we'll let it do its thing and cool the room down for us. Once you restore the power to the unit and you turn it on, don't be alarmed if it doesn't blow cool air immediately. The outdoor unit sometimes has a delay before it'll kick on as a protection mechanism for the compressor. So wait about 5 minutes, and then that outdoor unit, once everything resets, it'll turn on. It'll get the compressor active, and then it'll start blowing cool air. So now we are up and running. The 2 lights on this model show that it hasn't reached set point temperature, and once it reaches set point temperature, that bottom light will turn off. But we have really good airflow coming out, and it is cool now that the compressor turned on. So I hope this was helpful to anyone, and hopefully you guys can use this video if you've not done this before and save yourself a ton of money by maintaining your own mini split. So If this helped, please hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.